YNA is a podcast that focuses on mental health and other aspects relating to what goes on inside of a person's head. We are by no means professionals in this field and only aim to make these conversations about mental health easier for the listener. Nothing we say or talk about is professional advice unless explicitly mentioned. If you seek professional advice or experience symptoms of an actual mental disorder, please contact a professional or visit your closest center for behavioral health. You are not alone.
What's up, guys? Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you're looking for more of our content and merch information, be sure to check us out at ynamentalhealth.org. Keep an eye out for our skits and upcoming episode information. Feel free to reach out to us on IG. Our DMs are always open. And please remember, you're not alone.
Hello. Welcome back to YNA Mental Health. My name is Sina. I am the co-founder of YNA Mental Health. Now, before I get this episode started, I do want to inform you that I have not been officially diagnosed with testicular cancer. This episode is more about my personal experience navigating a health scare and the emotional and mental health journey that came with it. My goal in this episode is not to provide medical advice, but to reflect on the process of facing uncertainty, seeking answers, and finding strength in the unknown. If you're going through a similar journey, I encourage you to consult with your healthcare provider and lean on your support network. This is simply my story, and I hope it resonates with others who are going through a similar journey. Let's get started. So about a year ago, I had felt a very sharp pain that had sent me to the hospital. I remember where I was at the gym, and I was working out, and it was a throbbing feeling in my testicle. Now, the vocabulary or anything is off, I just want you to bear with me. I'm going to try my best to share this story. It has been really hard to go through all of this, and to sit here and be able to tell you everything is going to take a little bit of my time and a lot of my energy. But buckle in, we're going to get through this. So, after doing a self-examination on myself, I had felt that my testicle was a little bit bigger than my other one. And for guys, I think you would understand when your body's just like, this doesn't feel right. And what I was feeling did not feel right. I was able to give myself some pain that was very discomforting. And not the kind of pain that makes you go, oh, okay, that's fine. It was like the pain that's like, oh, I need to go to the hospital. So the next morning I called my cousin and I explained to him my story. And he was going through the symptoms with me. My cousin's a doctor back in New York, and he basically told me that there is one or two things that it could be. It could be epididymitis, which is a inflammation or an infection, or it could be testicular torsion. And testicular torsion is where the ball flips 180 degrees on itself, and it just needs to be fixed. And so if I didn't get to the hospital fast enough, that I would possibly lose my left testicle. So getting into the emergency room was pretty easy. They quickly just got me all set up. They did a bunch of tests. They did a CT scan as well. And one of the doctors was basically just like doing the test for testicular torsion, and he said that it wasn't that. After reviewing the CT scan, they had said that they found a mass, but they were very unsure of what the mass is and couldn't give me a definite answer. The mass was about the size of your fingernail. So leaving the hospital was very uncomfortable because you're left with uncertainty, you're left with confusion, you're left in this limbo period of like, what's going on? What is actually happening? I called some people. I'm also very grateful that I have an uncle who's a radiologist. So the person who reads your CT scans is a radiologist. So I'd gotten my CT scans and also sent it to him for him to review. And so after calling my friends, they kind of calmed me down and settled me. But if you know me well enough, I am an overthinker and I spiral very easily. Something that I've tried to work on my entire life and will continue to work on. My anxiety was everywhere. I could feel it in all my body, especially in my chest. It was very unsettling because I wanted to tell my parents, but my mom is a very sensitive person when it comes to giving her anything about if there's something wrong. So I knew we had to tiptoe around it for a little bit until we knew exactly what was going on. And my uncle advised that as well. So it was really hard to first keep the secret from them and struggle with it on my own. I'm very thankful for the people in my life that continue to support me and allowed me to lean on them in this struggle. So I had set up a following doctor's appointment with a urologist, and the urologist wanted me to do a blood testing for tumor markings, just to check to see if it came back positive or negative. And in the test, they said that it came back negative, which was great. That gave me a sigh of relief. I didn't believe anything more else of it, and that we were good to go. I came back from Japan. They asked me to do another CT scan, which I did. And 2 weeks later, I had gone back to the urologist, and he did an examination on me, which for men, I do want to tell you, it's unsettling, and it's something that you basically have to just like shut off your brain and just allow the person to do their job. It's not uncomfortable, but mentally it's uncomfortable, if that makes sense. And so after the examination, he told me that he didn't feel anything, which was, again, a great positive news. But after reviewing the CT scan, he looked at me and said that you have a 90% chance of having testicular cancer. So being told that you have cancer in general, especially from a medical professional, is terrifying. I, as an overthinker, spiraled harder and faster than I've ever spiraled before. I've talked to other people who have been diagnosed with cancer, and I asked them, in that position when you were told, like, how did you feel? And they kind of expressed it in the same way that I'm going to express it to you. And this may be different for everybody, so please, if you have been diagnosed with cancer and you didn't feel this, then my apologies if I am reflecting it in the wrong way. Again, this is just what I felt. I felt like a huge cloud had came over my head, and all I could think about and all I could see is fog. Everything that the doctor told me afterwards, I don't remember. I just couldn't even put it together what he said. After he told me I had possibilities of having cancer, I was just in turmoil. I just shut out everything outside of me, and all I could think, the loudest voice in the room was inside my head. And it just felt overwhelming and mentally draining, and I really didn't know what to do in that position. So after going home with all of this information, I was set alone with my own mind, which, and a lot of times is a good thing, and sometimes it's not, because I started to research and Google everything, which I was advised not to. But I think, think about it with anybody. When you are diagnosed or told you're sick, you go to WebMD and you look up all of the things, and then WebMD tells you that you're going to die, and then you start freaking out more. So, I mean, I think I express it like the bunny going down a rabbit hole. I went down that rabbit hole and found the bunny, because usually you don't. So I had read stories of other people and what they went through and how the next couple months were probably going to be, and just not feeling great about it at all. In cancer, there's 2 different cancers. It's benign and malignant. Malignant means that the cancer can spread and that it is dangerous. But benign means it's just dead cells and it's not going to grow and it's never going to become malignant. I asked my doctor, is it possible for a cancer cell that is benign to become malignant? He said, no, it's not possible. One of the positive things about testicular cancer is that there's a 99% success rate for the surgery and everything that comes after with it, whether you need chemotherapy or anything else. And so in this process, in this life, we're all going to be handed difficult news. I think there's not going to be one person on this planet who isn't given bad news, maybe health struggles or something else going on in your life. So I continue to try to tell myself that I am not alone in this struggle. There's other people who have gone through this as well, and they've come through it successfully, and that there was a great possible chance that I was going to be okay. But I think the hardest thing to kind of separate within myself was the struggle and the spiraling and the mindset of trying to stay positive while everyone around, like you tell people that you have the possibilities of having cancer, and a lot of people give you sympathy and they give you empathy and they give you love and they want to be there for you more. And that was great. And I really appreciate all the people that I was able to lean on, but I felt overwhelmed by it because it wasn't a feeling of solace, but it was a feeling of, I really don't know what's going to happen in the future. I have no idea where I'm going to be in the next 3 or 4 months. And I think the biggest thing that I was afraid of was I wasn't even afraid, not saying I was afraid of the cancer, but I was more afraid of telling my parents, especially my mom. My mom is very sensitive when it comes to health news or anything that's wrong with me or anything that's going on. She's very sensitive, and it's very hard to get the supportive emotional side from her. I think a lot of this just comes from my brother's passing and her not being able to deal with it correctly. And so I was absolutely petrified of telling her, because when it came to emotional issues that I had as a kid, whenever I would tell my parents about it, it was more set aside because, and credit to them, because they didn't know how to respond to having emotional maturity to talk to you about your issues. I feel for them because they came from a different country. Whenever they had emotional issues, it was set aside. Their grandparents didn't really teach them how to have that conversation. And so I don't blame them. But it was still petrifying to think about, like, how am I going to tell my parents? Because it's going to be a lot harder after that. A lot of people think they would get a lot of the relief, but for me and my family, it was a little bit different. As we continue down the journey of being told this and then introducing it to my uncle, and after his review of the CT scan, he came back and basically had said that, I agree with the doctor. I believe that this is cancer, and it's very small, and props to you for being able to find it, because you would have never, ever been able to find this. And so I talked to my other cousin who's a doctor and explained to him everything, and he was very much like, yeah, I think you should remove it. I think that's the best possibility for you. And I think I've seen a lot of things happen in the hospital and the healthcare system, and I personally believe that removing it is a great option. It's a great answer to the issue. So before I decided on anything, I told myself I really wanted a second opinion, not from my family, not from my primary care, not from the first urologist. I wanted a second opinion from a non-biased doctor that just didn't know who I was. So I set up an appointment with another urologist. And if you're anybody who has dealt with medical issues, like setting up another appointment takes time. Like it's weird because like you could be struggling with something and you need an appointment like the next day, and they're like, how does next month sound? Because they're fully booked or they have other things that are going on. And so it becomes really hard for you to get an appointment. And I highly recommend, if you ever have medical issues, get on the cancellation list, just in case. If anybody cancels, that they can call you and you can just go and take the appointment. It's a great way of just staying on top of it. And I think that's what I did really well on, is just trying to stay on top of it and try to make sure that I'm putting this as my priority. But I had so many other things going on in my life at the moment. I remember that I had this fundraiser for YNA, for Veterans Path to Hope, and I just was putting all my energy and all my time into it to make sure that it was the perfect fundraiser, and that I know to a lot of people you can't say like, Sina, why would you not put your health as a priority? Your business can come later. I really love YNA. I really love what I do. I really love sharing my story. I really love expressing to people my mental health journey and having people be able to connect with it. I had put so much time and effort and energy into creating this fundraiser. I wasn't just going to put it aside. I couldn't. And I think it renewed my sense of purpose because it had allowed me to focus on helping others. And this made me feel really good. Even if the possibility of losing a testicle or having to go to surgery I was able to shift my mindset and focus on something that was very important to me. And it was a great distraction. So I recommend, if you are in a situation where you do have a health scare, I know it's not the best thing to throw yourself into a distractive mode, but sometimes shutting off the brain in those parts and those aspects allows you to focus on things that could be bigger than you. Or it doesn't even have to be bigger than you. It just allows you to move your mind onto something else. When it comes to testicular cancer, just to walk you through what they do a surgery. You go home the same day you come in. It's a quick removal. They also advise you can use a floating prop that could be in place of the other testicle so that it doesn't feel weird. I had read a lot of stories from other people who did it, and a lot of people actually said that they wish they never did it and would have just kept one ball through the whole thing. They also tell you to sperm bank to make sure that you freeze your sperm and that you can use it later on. And so if anything happens to the other testicle, you still have sperm that can be used to have children. I had read a lot about that fertility was not an issue and that you would still be able to have kids, and other people's stories who had testicular cancer and they were able to have children and their life was back to normal and things were going great. And so it gave me a lot of support in that position of just like the research. And I know research can be scary for a lot of people because you don't know what to believe, who to believe. And so you're just trying your best to gather the information and to do what you can do best with the information in front of you. I have a therapist, thank God, and I expressed to him through the whole thing, and he was very supportive through it all, helped me really gather my thoughts and just allow myself to stop spiraling. After telling my dad, he was very questionable a lot of things. He was supportive, which was really helpful in that moment. He stayed calm. But when it came, and he even mentioned that this was going to be a difficult conversation with your mom and that you have to take it very carefully. And she just took it, not the way that I thought it would, but it was worse. I didn't think it would be that bad, but it was bad. So my mom began to spiral in her own head. And when my mom begins to spiral, she's just not there, at all. Like, isn't able to speak, isn't able to just be present in that moment. It was really hard to see, like, a parent not support you in the way that you would hope. In those positions, I know it can be tough. I know it can be really fucking hard. You have to be able to support yourself. I know that I'm coming out of a perspective of the possibilities of having cancer. And if you are someone who's struggling with a health scare and you are going through these emotions, I just want to let you know that you're heard and that your problems aren't just something that you can just put aside. These problems in front of you are just another challenge. It's another barrier that you're going to get through, and you're going to get past it, and you're going to come out so much stronger than you've ever been. And for you to be able to stand there after everything and hold yourself up and tell yourself that, look at where I've come. Look at what I've done. You are resilient, you're courageous, and you're so strong. You're stronger than you think. That was always one of my favorite phrases, is like, you are stronger than you think. You just got to get through it. And sometimes when life is just beating you to a pulp, it doesn't feel like you have any of the courage or the bravery inside of you to keep pushing on. But if you're listening to this, I just need you to keep pushing on. Don't give up. Please don't give up. I know it's hard. I know it can be hard. I know what you're going through is other people don't understand. They will probably never understand how you're dealing with it, but you've got the ability to get through this. And that was the reinforcement I had to keep telling myself. I had to be there for myself, even though it sucked to not have your parents there to be a strong support system and to help you through a difficult life challenge. I knew that I had to be strong for myself. And so in these moments, to gain clarity, you have to look within yourself. You have to do a deep dive and get a better understanding of who you are and how I can handle the stressors in front of me. And so some of the stressors were the CT scans. I've done a couple of CT scans, and it's not that they're uncomfortable, but leading up to it, I'm in my head so much. And when you're sitting there and someone is scanning your testicles, it takes about 20 to 30 minutes. So it's just you sitting there staring at a ceiling, hearing a beep because they're like taking a picture of it and then moving through. So all you hear is like beep, beep. And it feels like in those moments, it's like an out-of-body experience where I didn't want to be inside of my body. I didn't want to be there at all. So I did everything in my possible mind to be able to pull myself out of this difficult moment. I had to pull myself into a position of just being like, we need to shut off the mind and just get through this. And as if anybody knows who's gone through health scares or health issues, just sitting in the doctor's office sucks. It's the whole thing of getting up to the appointment, getting there, waiting in the waiting room. It all just feels like a huge, like slow stab of a knife into your gut. It just feels really slow and it really sucks. And you don't want to be there. You don't want to be getting stabbed, but you have to. Because you have to put your health as a priority. You have to put yourself as a priority. And so getting through those days was always really hard. And I would call a lot of my friends afterwards and just vent to them. And if you're somebody on the other side who's wondering, like, how do I support someone who's struggling with a cancer diagnosis or a health scare or something, don't go into solution focus, and I really love people's positive attitudes, but it didn't make me more positive, to be completely honest with you. If someone told me like, oh, you're going to get through this, you still have one ball, you're going to be fine, blah, 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 blah. None of it helped. None of it. And what helped me was the friend who was like, just vent to me, bro. I don't know what you're going through. I'm sorry that you're struggling with this, but just talk to me. Just let me hear you. And I'm not going to give you any answers of what to do. Don't throw positive reinforcement in their face, because when you're going through a negative situation, like in that kind of spiral, like positivity just doesn't. And I get where other people's answers are like, positivity is good, it helps with the negativity. And I agree, there's moments and times where positivity needs to be had and positive reinforcement is important. But in those positions, I really recommend just being like, hey, either be like, hey, let me go distract you. What can we go do to get you out of this moment and out of your head? There was plenty of times where I've had friends that just be like, let's go do something else. Like, we don't need to talk about this. We can put this aside. This is not going anywhere. Let's just go do something else and get your mind off of it. And that helps so much, especially with an overthinker like me that spirals out of control. It feels so good to just be able to get out of my own head and be able to be present in the moment and to understand that everything is going to be okay. And so it's a really good idea of figuring out. I'm not saying that not everyone is good to lean on. I think everyone's good at support. Not everyone's good at supporting, but people are good at supporting, but they support in different ways. And you need to figure out what support you need, how you need it, and how it will help you. So after that process of telling my mom, I had gone in for my second opinion. And the doctor basically told me, this is a 50-50 chance that this is testicular cancer. It could not be testicular cancer. And that was the one thing I didn't want to hear. To be completely frank with you, what I wanted to go into the office was, hey, this is exactly what they think it is. Let's just put you into surgery and get it removed. I didn't want a conflicting opinion, because a conflicting opinion makes it a lot harder to come to a decision. And so I had to sit with myself and have one doctor, 3 doctors tell me, hey, yeah, you should get this removed. You should totally get in the surgery and get this, just get it out of your way. And then one doctor who's like, we don't know what it is, and we can't, I personally don't recommend going into surgery yet. Let's give it some time. Let's give it some more testing, which creates the waiting game. And the waiting game really, really hurt me, and has hurt me now in the mental health journey. I remember what my second doctor said. He was like, if this is not if this is making you not sleep at night, just remove it. Like, it's not worth your sanity. It's worth having clarity over sanity. And the one thing I just couldn't accept the fact in, and that this is just, again, my opinion on what I felt, is that I think it would break my heart if I had gone in, done the surgery, they had removed my testicle, and they tested it, and they said, this isn't testicular cancer. You didn't need to worry about this. It would hurt me because I had just done what overthinking is. You overthink yourself into a cycle. You make a bad decision, and the next thing you know, I would only have one testicle. And for other people, I know that's difficult for them to grasp because you could remove something that could possibly hurt you, and you have the opportunity to do that. And I see your perspective, and I understand it. But for me, I don't think I could go through with it. I feel like it would crush me if I didn't have a solidified answer of like, yes, this is testicular cancer. You need to get it removed, and you need to get into surgery as soon as possible. In the end of this whole journey that I have gone through and have continued to go through, I just want to continue to reflect and be able to answer any mental health challenges that come in front of me. I want to be strong. I want to be courageous. I want to be brave. I want to be able to handle all of the challenges that life gives me. But sometimes it's just not that easy. Sometimes you're going to be down in the dumps. Sometimes it's going to rain like it's never rained before. And you've got to face adversity to be able to be resilient. Living with uncertainty isn't easy. It's incredibly challenging. Each day is hope and fear. And so trying to figure out, how do I live with the unknown and keep continuing to focus on my mental health, my physical health, keep making sure I do my job, keep making sure keep flowering the friends that I have in my garden and making sure that they're all watered and still showing support for them was really tough, because some days you just feel so drained and exhausted from everything that you just wanted to kind of unload and just be done with a day. So I heard from another podcaster, if you're having a tough day, it's okay just to go to bed. It's okay just to end the day. If you're someone feeling uncertain in a health scare, don't be afraid to just go to sleep and just put the day to an end and keep going. Even if it's an early night, that's fine. Just allow yourself to finish the day and move on. And you check out what the next day has for you. And it could be better. And so at this moment, I'm still in the waiting game. We did a CT scan back in September, and he said, so far so good, no growth. And basically, my second opinion doctor has told me, the second we see growth, we're going straight into surgery, we'll get it removed, and you'll be back to normal, quotes, because there will be no normality, in my opinion, after that, because you are a cancer survivor, and now you have a whole new world to deal with. And so for anybody who does have testicular cancer and you are a cancer survivor, you are so strong. And I'm here to give you all the positive reinforcement, even though I don't want to give it to you because I know what it feels like. But you are so courageous. You're such a strong human being. Any cancer survivor in general, you are truly what it means to be brave, to face death in front of you, and to be able to fight and not give up. All I have to say is, I'm proud of you. And that's what I wanted to hear the most from people, was just like, I'm proud of you, man. I know you're going through a lot, but I'm proud of you. Keep going, stay strong. We're going to get through this. And so I hope that I'm able to give you this positive journey of a better life behind the craziness, that once all of this does pass, that you are able to get back to your normal life and be able to continue to be the best person that you know you are. So, in my own perspective, what would I want to tell someone else who's going through something like this? For men, I want you to do more self-examinations. Please check in on your health. Please check in on yourself. If you feel like something's not right, go get it checked out. There's nothing wrong with speaking to a doctor. I know that it can be scary, and I know that I sometimes believe that ignorance is bliss, but I'm so happy that I found out about this now so that I can pay more attention to my body and be more on top of it rather than just allowing it to not be in my mind. I know in moments like this, it can be difficult, but remember, you can face the adversity better when you know than when you don't know. And so don't be afraid. Don't be scared. I know things are going to be, can feel weird, and you might feel a lot of different emotions, but feel free to make sure that you're advocating for your own health, because no one will truly care about your well-being more than you do. And I think that's what's so important, is you have to show up for yourself. I've said this many times in the podcast before, is putting your mental health as a priority. As much as I can sit here and tell you to do it, and as much as I can sit here and, your mental health should always be a priority and things like that, it's up to you to make the decision to move on and to do better and to find ways to be better. I can sit here and give you the whole recipe, but it's up to you to cook. It's up to you to drink the water. It's up to you to really put yourself first. So I encourage you, if you are somebody who's dealing with a different health scare or you're going through a struggle right now, I get it, and you're going to get through this. I'm proud of you for how far you've come, and you have so much more ahead of you. This journey has taught me that I can be there for me, that the person who's got me is me, and that's where you can build more resiliency. So my emotional and mental mentality has gotten stronger. So in these moments, they will truly teach you to be grateful for everything that you have. I think finding out the possibilities of all of this it made me more grateful for the life that I have. It made me want to live even more, because this should be a reminder for people that we only get one shot at life, and it's up to you to live it to the fullest. I think in moments I also turned to God. This allowed me to become more spiritual and allow me to let go of all of the uncertainty. I feel like in moments like this, I tried to control things, and that wasn't right. That wasn't good. And so instead, I looked up to God. I prayed, and I said, please get me through this. Please help me. And I think in moments like that, whether you are a believer or not, that's totally understandable. I'm not here to judge you on what religion you believe and what you don't. But find a way to be more spiritual, because in moments like this, I believe that spirituality allows you to let go of things that you're trying to control that you can't control. And it allows you to just have a clearer mind. I think that's important. And let's just say, if you don't believe in God, that's fine. But find ways to be more do more meditating. Find ways to journal more. Just talk to the universe. Talk to nothing. If you don't believe, there's nothing wrong with just putting it out there in the space that you have. And I believe in those moments, that can really help give you a clearer mind and help you just let go. Because I know plenty of times that, especially with the health scare, you want to control things, but you're unable to because it's out of your control. So this shift in perspective is important. My story isn't just about me. It's about encouraging others to take their health seriously and to seek answers when something's just not right. Some advice that I would give myself or someone else that's going through a similar journey is be smart about what you research. Lean on the people who you know that are going to be there to support you, and don't throw just positive reinforcement in your face. And make sure you focus on the quality of your thoughts. Just like Marcus Aurelius said, the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. So, now going to the end of my journey, what does it look like? We're just going to keep doing CT scans and hope that it does not grow. But, life will throw challenges at me. It's thrown enough challenges at me to know that I got to stay adaptive and be able to handle whatever news that comes next. So I'm going to stay strong, and I'm truly grateful wherever you are listening to this episode, listening to me just talk about something that's extremely serious in my life. I greatly appreciate you, and I hope that you have gotten something out of this. If you know someone who's dealing with a health scare or struggling with something similar, please feel free to send this episode to them. You never know whose life you will change. I just want to remind you to please remember you are not alone, and I will catch you on the next episode.